Hey, my name is Tom, and I'm so glad you clicked on this video. There's something that I've come across recently that is one of the most profound things that I've come across, so I just wanted to share it with you. So just hang tight and we'll get to it, all right? So, um, I've had this question or kind of this concept and idea that I've been thinking about and trying to I've just really been wrestling with it, and it's really been digging into the human soul and the profundity that makes up what a human is. And one of those fundamental um, things is a person being good and a person being evil. And I've really been thinking about the evil aspect and perhaps some of the most evil people that we have encountered in history or in life. And the question, knowing that humans are composed of both that which is good and that which is corrupt and twisted and evil, um, and spending a lot of time studying that and thinking about it, I've come across this question. This question's come up in my mind, just that when humans are engaged in evil activity, or there's evil in their heart and in their mind, do they understand and see themselves as being evil? Or do they justify the evil, assuming or believing in themselves and with themselves that they're actually good and doing good? I know it's kind of, you know, and I've pushed that question kind of to the ultimate. I even texted a friend one time. This is so over the top, but it kind of hits, the question gets at the heart of the issue. We all know Satan, or the character of the devil in theology, is basically the personification of evil. Evil is attributed, personality, and that's kind of the role that Satan plays. And so, my question, I texted my friend this, and I said, "Hey, does Satan think he's doing good? Does he believe himself to be on the side of what's good?" Um, it's supposed to be a provocative question, and I don't know that we can get the answer to that, or I haven't studied the scriptures enough, but you see my point. And so I've been thinking about this. When we're looking at evil and the evil outside of us and evil throughout history and evil characters and evil situations, we normally draw the line between us and that evil, as if to say that evil is always something else or something so different than me or us or how I think or what I am. And it seems to not be that simple. And so I've just spent a lot of time thinking about that, and trying to figure out, um, you know, how, if evil is connected to everybody, how do you know, where's the line drawn that you understand that you've actually sided with evil? Because it seems as though when you study the complexity of the evil done and the evil characters that we're familiar with, whether throughout history or in life, or that are just extra dramatic, we tend to uh, think that they view themselves as evil, and it doesn't seem to be that way. It seems that there's always reason present and justification for the evil activity done. And if that's the case, how exactly do I know when I'm participating in something that's wrong, twisted, and dark and evil? And so I'm in the middle of reading through the Gulag Archipelago by Alexander Solzhenitsyn. This is an abbreviated version. It's like 500 pages. But it's basically Alexander Solzhenitsyn was a prisoner in the work camps in communist Russia. And he talks in depth about the torture that he and all the thousands and thousands and thousands of prisoners went through, and just how dark and evil um, it was, their experience and what they encountered. And Alexander basically starts taking time to contemplate his own heart and his own mind and his own being in such a way that it's clear to him that there's the evil outside of him and what's happening to him is wrong and evil, but he takes it to the step of trying to figure out where the evil is in him and how to root that out and how to get at that. And it's like, of all times and all places, if anyone has a right to be resentful, bitter, vengeful, justify any, fault, weakness, wrong motive, it's, someone with his experience. And so it's just very profound, the contemplation that he does in searching the heart of the human. And so I came across this passage that I wanted to read. It's brief, but he opens up. It's the most profound paragraph I've probably read. At least it's in that category. So, but he opens up the passage with these short paragraphs, and then on to the main one. Basically says, if only it were all so simple, if only there were evil people somewhere insidiously committing evil deeds, and it were necessarily only to separate them from the rest of us and destroy them. But the line dividing good and evil cuts through the heart of every human being. And who is willing to destroy a piece of his own heart? During the life of any heart, this line keeps changing place. Sometimes it is squeezed one way by exuberant evil, and sometimes it shifts to allow enough space for good to flourish. One and the same human being is, at various ages, under various circumstances, a totally different human being. At times, he is close to being a devil, at times to sainthood, but his name doesn't change. And to that name we ascribe the whole lot, good and evil. Socrates taught us, know thyself. Confronted by the pit into which we are about to toss those who have done us harm, we halt, stricken dumb. It is after all only because of the way things worked out that they were the executioners and we weren't. And then on to this passage, a page later, he continues. When one learns, for example, the nature of Yagodas, Yagoda was a secret police official director. He was a director of the Soviet Union Security and Intelligence in the 30s. Yagoda is striving toward the sacred. An eyewitness from the group around Gorky, who was close to Yagoda at the time, reports that in the vestibule of the bathhouse on Yagoda's estate near Moscow, icons were placed so that Yagoda and his comrades, after undressing, could use them as targets for revolver practice before going in to take their baths. Just how are we to understand that? As the act of an evildoer? What sort of behavior is it? Do such people really exist? We prefer to say that such people cannot exist, that there aren't any. It is permissible to portray evildoers in a story for children, so as to keep the picture simple. But when the great world literature of the past, Shakespeare, Schiller, Dickens, inflates and inflates images of evildoers of the darkest shades, it seems somewhat farcical and clumsy to our contemporary perception. The trouble lies in the way these classic evildoers are pictured. They recognize themselves as evildoers, and they know their souls are dark, and they reason, I cannot live unless I do evil. So I'll set my father against my brother. I'll drink the victim's sufferings until I'm drunk with them. Iago, um, who is the antagonist character in Othello, very precisely identifies his purpose and his motives as being dark and born of hate. But no, that's not the way it is. To do evil, a human being must first of all believe that what he's doing is good, or else that it's a well considered act in conformity with natural law. Fortunately, it is in the nature of the human being to seek a justification for his actions. Macbeth's self justifications were feeble, and his conscience devoured him. Yes, even Iago was a little lamb too. The imagination and the spiritual strength of Shakespeare's evildoers stopped short at a dozen corpses because they had no ideology. Ideology, that is what gives evil doing its long sought justification and gives the evildoer the necessary steadfastness and determination. That is the social theory which helps to make his acts seem good instead of bad, and his own and others' eyes, in his own and others' eyes, so that he won't hear reproaches and curses, but will receive praise and honors. That was how the agents of the Inquisition fortified their wills, by invoking Christianity, the conquerors of foreign lands, by extolling the grandeur of their motherland, the colonizers by civilization, the Nazis by race, and the Jacobins and early and late by equality, brotherhood, and the happiness of future generations. When Jesus, states, "Why do you try to take out the speck in your brother's eye when you have a log in your own?" He gets it. He's basically saying if you spend more time on the fault and the evil and the wrong in those outside of you than you do of the wrong and the evil inside of you, you're doing it wrong. It's just so profound. And so I've been wrestling with that question about the evil in the human and how evil people see themselves. Do they see themselves as evil, or do they see themselves as good, trying to do good and better? Seems that just wrestling with that concept for several weeks, maybe months now, and to come across that paragraph that just answers it and gets at it was pretty incredible to me. So I just thought I'd share it. Sure, it was a little bit longer passage, but it's something to contemplate and think about. We all assume that the reasons we have are good, and those who are evil outside of us don't have reason or explanation or justification on their side. Think again. Thanks for your time, and hope you got something out of that.